This talk addresses a basic failure of the Western education system and is intended to serve as a wake-up call for educators. Let us discuss first the main goal of education. The main goal is to prepare the graduate student for his personal life and for his future job. What happens in reality? Current situation in the employment market in the Western world is very grim. Graduates of both high schools and universities encounter difficulties in finding jobs. Extensive unemployment is seen for a whole generation, people of the ages of 18 to 25. When employers are asked why they do not hire graduates, the answer is that the current graduates of both schools and universities do not have the required skills for an employee. What does this mean? This means that after all the years of education in schools and universities, people lack the skills to enter the job market. Where is the failure? Current curricula ignore the requirements of employers. The educators do not ask what are the requirements, and they teach what they know. If we want the process of learning to meet the goal which we presented at the beginning, then the first step should consist of a study of current and future requirements for an employee. After we get the results of this study, then educators can start constructing study programs so that the graduate will be prepared for the job market, and then the goal will be achieved. The next step is to check the results and correct as needed, and we can see that this whole process may consist of a few years, so we had better start it now. How did it happen that the situation seemed to be okay in the past and today it seems horrible? This is due to two processes which acted in parallel. The first one is the schools eliminated almost all practical studies like arts and crafts. These studies train students to acquire various skills. The only one that remained is sport. The second one is employers stopped training new employees due to mobility of employees. In the past, an employee stayed in one place for a long time, and the employer found it convenient to invest an effort in training a new employee. But when employees move from one employer to another very quickly, there is no advantage in keeping this habit. And today, employers want to employ only employees who are ready to contribute. What are the required changes in education? First of all, we have to address the requirements of the present, as stated by employers, and that is to teach basic skills to the graduates. Since time is limited, this teaching has to be made at the expense of general knowledge studies. When we talk about skills, what do we mean? Let us discuss the most frequently cited skill by employers, and that is communication between people. An employee should be able to relate to his colleagues, both verbally and in writing, what he intends to do, what he did, what were the results of his actions, and what are his conclusions from what he did. Many graduates lack this basic skill, and this occurs even for university graduates, not only for school graduates. Next, we have to address the requirements of the future. What do we know about the future? We live in a very fast-changing world, and people will have to find themselves in this environment of a fast-changing world. So what do they have to acquire as basic skills? First of all, creativity. What do we mean by creativity? Creativity is the property of a person to find in a stated situation many possibilities to do things and choose the best of them. He has to have some kind of ingenuity. This property is not practiced in schools or universities. In the current education systems, for every question there is only one correct answer, and therefore graduates do not develop this property. Another important property is the skill to study independently a new subject. We know that the world will introduce new subjects which are not known today. And since graduates will graduate in a few years' time, they will have to study on their own a new subject which will be introduced in the future. As a summary, these are the skills which are required to get a job. The ability to communicate with people, the ability to work in a team, not to solve problems independently, the ability to handle a situation of a difficulty and even a failure. This is acquired only by practicing, and people have to study this by experience. If we observe a baby who learns to walk, first of all, he learns how to fall, and then he starts walking. If a person wants to have a well-paying job, then he needs to be equipped with more skills. We mentioned the skill of studying independently a new subject. We discussed the skill of being creative. In addition, a person in a working place is expected to work independently and make decisions on his own. And if he is able to initiate new activities and raise suggestions to the team, then his contribution will be appreciated and he will be well paid. I would like to say a few more words about the ability to study a new subject. A person usually starts by learning a basis and then he goes to implementations of the knowledge that he acquired. But in real life there is not enough time to do this, and people have to adopt a way to study top down. That means, first of all, consider the implementation and then study only what is needed in order to proceed with the implementation. This is something which is quite complicated and may be handled only at the university level. Other skills probably may be acquired during school time. Let us hope that educators in the Western world will get this message and will pull their sleeves to do whatever is required to improve the education systems so that people who graduate them will be able to fare well in this world. Thank you.